My name is Mike Acosta, and I'm here today to show you a few tips and tricks, along with other ways to increase your workflow with using the Roland MV8000 Production Studio. Two of the most common questions that I get from a lot of MV users is, can I use my external sound modules or keyboards to be sequenced inside the MV8000? If so, how? And can I use my virtual soft synths in my computer to be sequenced alongside the MV8000 as well? Now the answer to both of these questions is yes, and today I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it. But first, let's make sure we got the connections right. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we have the right connection to the laptop to trigger the Subtractor soft synth. So we're going out of MIDI output B channel 2 into the MIDI interface of the laptop. Want to make sure that we have Subtractor selected and double click on the track to get the MIDI icon. Now once you've double clicked on the Subtractor track and you have the MIDI icon, you may also want to check the preferences within Reason and make sure that your MIDI port is selected here. This could be whatever MIDI interface you're using. Okay, so now I've started with a brand new project. As you can see, I've loaded 3 MIDI tracks and 1 audio track for my audio phrases. I've designated 1 MIDI track to go to my MC909, which would be the external sound module. I've also designated a second MIDI track to go to my laptop to control my soft synth. And I have 1 extra track so I can load a drum kit from inside the MV8000. What I'm going to do first is load up a customized drum kit that I created in the MV8000. I'm going to hit the instrument button and we'll choose track 1. We'll hit the menu button here and we'll go to load patch. What I'll do is I'll load this custom kit that I've made that's sitting right here. And we'll go ahead and hit execute. Now we can see that drum kit has been loaded into track 1, or part 1, on the MV8000. And there it is. Now I can go to my next track. What I want to do first is make sure that I have the parameters set correctly so that I can trigger the MC909. If you right click, you can go down to part 8, which is the track parameter, bring that up, and make sure that we have the output going out of MIDI B, channel 1, to the MC909. It's MIDI in. Now if we trigger it, we're triggering a sound from the MC909. We can use the pad bank to go higher up in the octave range. There we go. So now we got the MC909 hooked up here. Now we'll go to the next section for the laptop. And what I want to do here is trigger one of my soft synths within the program Reason. So now that we have all the parts properly assigned, we have the MV8000 with the drums, we also have the MC909, and we also have the Subtractor synth from our laptop. We're now ready to sequence. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down my drum track. So set this back, hit record on the transport bar, hit play to start it off with a 2-measure count in. Now, what I could do is I could put it in rehearsal mode by tapping the record button, and it lets me pick out other drum sounds that I may want to add. As soon as I'm ready, I can hit the record button, pop it right back into record, and start laying down more drums. So that sounds pretty cool to me. Stop it, put it back to the beginning, and play it through. So now we got our drum track laid down. The next thing we want to do is lay down a synth part from the MC909. So we'll choose the octave range we want. And now hit this back to the beginning and hit record and hit play. So take this back. Now we have the drums of the MV8000 playing right alongside with the MC909, and everything's being sequenced inside the MV8000 sequencer. Next part we want to do is go down to the laptop and maybe lay down a part from the Subtractor synth. Now we can do that. Tap it back out to the beginning, hit record, get our 2-measure count in. Now we'll top that off, play them all back. So now we've got the 909, a soft synth from the laptop, and drums internally from the MV8000 all sequenced together. Now that we've laid everything down, let's copy and paste our parts to expand the song. Using the VGA makes it extremely simple. We just highlight it, right-click, select copy and paste, and I'm going to tell it how many times do I want it to copy. So for this instance, we can say maybe 12 times. And where do you want it to go to? And right here we could select it and say to drop it in right at measure 3. And click execute. And there you go. Now that we have the whole song expanded, let's say hypothetically that our song is finished. Once we're done, the next thing to do is head into mixdown mode. Okay, first let's enter mixdown mode. Head over here to mastering, drop it down, and select number 1, which is mixdown mode. We're going to go ahead and select yes, we want to enter mixdown mode. Okay, now the machine is in mixdown mode. As you can see right up here in the top left corner, the blue light says mix is on. That lets you know you're in mixdown mode. All you have to do is top this off to the beginning, hit record. You'll now be prompted to give it a file name. For this instance, we'll use the MV8000 video mix, but you can name it whatever it is that you want and go ahead and hit OK. Now as you can see, the record button is armed, and all we have to do is hit play. And now the MV8000 is mixing down all the internal parts, as well as whatever's coming in through the live input, which would be the 909 and the Subtractor synth. Now one of the best features about the mixdown mode within the MV8000 is that we don't actually have to record any of the external sound modules or the soft synths from the laptops to any of the 8 internal audio tracks. While in mixdown mode, the MV8000 will record and bounce down all the internal audio and MIDI tracks, as well as whatever's coming in live through the analog or digital inputs. This means that you can have a little sub-mixer with all your external sound modules coming into that mixer and then just route one bus going right into the MV8000 and be done.